G'day, listeners. Welcome to Barkarati, the sailing podcast. My name's Jordan Spencer. It's that time of the week where we get to hang out with some really cool sailors. But, of course, I have to do it with my two idiot mates. First up, let's welcome to the show Mr. Brett Perry.
Greetings, exalted one.
I put him through the shredder and hit the crickets. BP is... they've got the MC38 Nationals coming up in a week or two, and he apparently is going sailing. So we've had to skip out on BP. So let's bring in the other bloke.
He had a voice that could make a wolverine purr.
Mr. Nick Beist.
Oh, back to the old lead-in. Thank you very much. And BP, he's done it again, left the door wide open.
Wide open.
Wide open.
There's a lot of applications for his role.
Oh, absolutely. Now, just a couple of quick shout-outs before we kick off on what is our 96th episode.
Yep.
We're closing in on the century.
Yep.
Getting ready to raise the bat. Have we got a special guest lined up for 100?
Yep. Extra special, top of the tree. We're building up. So our guest today...
What, BP's going to join us? Or?
No, we have. We've put in the reserve on our guests. So yes.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. So just a couple of ones. Few shout outs to some of my SA mates here. Laura Baker sent, who you know well.
Yep.
She sent me some photos this week of her mother was cleaning out her father's old Seacraft magazines.
Yeah.
1958.
Yeah.
Guess what the boat was?
A rainbow.
The rainbow.
God.
The Bring Back the Rainbow campaign is working well. People are just sending me stuff all over the joint.
I will tell you, Boise, every time you promote the rainbow, I get about 90 emails going, why is he on these shitter boats?
For that exact reason. Bring back the banter. Other shout out, Malang Regatta Club.
Oh, for those who haven't seen a rainbow, just imagine a slightly sun-warped plank of wood with a sail stuck on it. It's about the same size and the same quality, all right?
And can go upwind with the spinnaker.
Yeah.
A triangle-shaped spinnaker.
Go on, this is a big one. Go on.
All right, Malang Regatta Club. Yesterday they had the return race from Galway to Malang. But also they had their first little drinky poos at the new club, which has been assembled. And I received some messages at about 11:30, 12:30 on a bit of succession last night from all the Game On crew who were christening it, of course, with Barkarati Sailors Lager.
Of course.
So that's where our sponsorship's gone.
Yep.
Towards that club. And I believe they were drinking their the sponsorship that we gave them last night.
That photo you sent through the other day, is that genuinely up on the side of their building or not?
It is 100% genuine, 23% of the time.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
So
it was good. I was blown away. But anyway, big Barkarati, the home of Barkarati on the side of the club. That was pretty good.
We'll put that up on the Facebook site. And just finally, we're recording on a Sunday morning, and I'm a bit of Kevin McAllister this weekend, home alone.
Oh, congratulations.
Wife and kids are away. Oh, yeah. I've been out, got the tool belt on, just diversifying, cutting up a bit of timber in the backyard for no reason, really, just if I can, just getting sawdust everywhere.
Just to feel like you're worthy again.
Exactly.
Speaking of worthy, our next guest is one that I've been wanting to get on the show for a long, long time. When we talk about this show, what we're interested in is showing the pathway. And this guest has the most unique pathway of anyone we've ever had on the show, and it's just going to be a dead set interesting conversation whether you're into sailing or not. We've known her for a long time. She was a pro, did the round the world race with Volvo on Team SCA, has sailed the 7 oceans and is on the way to completing climbing the 7 main summits in the world. She did have the Olympic program going for the double-hander. I think that's been knocked down because of the COVID, so that's it. But got her start in the sport from the sport of rodeo. Lady, I think we're pretty keen to talk to this lady. So please welcome to the show, Sara Hastreiter. Sarah, welcome to Barkarati.
Thank you for having me. It's just so ironic.
This is a true rose amongst the thorn
moment
right now. And the way I actually have my camera set up here, you literally are in between us right now. So you've beautified this show unbelievably. So thanks for doing your hair, doing your makeup and everything.
Yeah. I told you it's a special occasion.
Works well for the podcast.
Yeah. I'm in grad school now, so I just mostly sit around in sweatpants and stare at rooms of Zoom people. So this is like a unique interaction.
We've got so much to talk about with you, Sarah. We have a huge amount of things. So, as I said, for the listeners who aren't sailors, you're going to enjoy the show just as much as sailors. So, but you can see Bitey and I also dressed up for you. You know, I shaved a week and a half ago for you.
I put my favourite hat on, got the sweat stains and all.
So, obviously, we've known you for a while. And you've seen us at our best. So please do not mention
and worse.
Do not mention any of the things that we get up to. And we'll keep some of your secrets. Is probably the best. Let's talk about your youth. So most of the guests we have on here, bar I reckon one out of the 95 we've had prior to you, all started their sailing at a very young age. We've had one guest who started at 16. You started your sporting career in radio, is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in the state of Wyoming in the U.S. It's called the cowboy state, you know. So I kind of grew up on a small farm, raising horses and pigs and chickens and gymkhanas, which are rodeos for people under the age of 18, were, you know, a big part of my youth. That was what we did. I mean, my parents were just trying to keep us out of trouble, like a bunch of farm kids.
Wow.
But horses, yeah, that was a big part of my childhood. And when you're in that, you know, kind of mindset and that world, the people that you look up to are the rodeo princesses and, you know, the cowboys that ride bulls and broncs. And that was what I wanted, you know?
Wow.
Before we just go any further, you know, Jordan's had a career in rodeo as one of those clowns when they try and take the attention. He didn't even have to get dressed up.
Yeah.
No makeup, straight in. Oh, he's here. Bring him on.
I knew that was coming. I knew as soon as you opened your mouth, I knew that was coming out.
No, that's okay, Jordan. They're athletes.
Oh, thanks.
The circus clowns are athletes, not circus clowns. Cowboy, what do you call them? Bullfighters. They're true athletes.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, all the things that are available to you. I mean, obviously, a bit of rodeo and stuff happens in Australia. It's definitely part of our culture in a way as well, but it's not common because most Australians live on the coast. So, but then the other thing you've got, of course, is that it snows a lot where you are. So your whole upbringing is the complete opposite to what most people, like what Nick and I have certainly experienced, you know, like we go for a surf and go sailing and you ride horses and go snow skiing, I assume, or can you not ski?
I mean, I saw the ocean once before the age of 18, I think. No, 20.
Once.
Wow.
Yeah.
Once. Wow. That's insane. And you made it as a professional sailor. That's the thing that, you know, there's no defined pathway, is there? So how the hell did that happen?
So I had gone to the Caribbean for an internship. I was working with the social side of HIV/AIDS. You know, I was really into humanitarian work and I needed another internship before I finished school. And I went down to St. Croix and I loved it. It was just, there was like 40 young people my same age and we were just, you know, partying every night in a different part of the island. And so when I finished school, I wanted to move there. And so I moved down, I think probably 6 months after I did my internship, and then had some friends there that had like a 47-foot Beneteau, and they were going to sail from St. Croix to New Zealand. And I was just really adventurous. You know, I grew up really adventurous. I'd been traveling all throughout my undergrad, around Africa and Europe and New Zealand. And, you know, they needed crew members for that trip. And I was like, yeah, I'm in. And I'd never been sailing before, but I mean, to me, that didn't bother me. And that trip ended up not happening. And there was like a little local regatta in St. Croix, and I was on like a Hunter 38. There was a fax machine down below. And we heeled over, and I was just absolutely terrified. The race was 7 miles long, and we didn't finish.
Wow.
We gave up. It was just too far, you know?
What?
Did you, instead of radioing into the race committee, did you send them a fax? We won't be finishing this race.
Yeah, we won't be finishing.
Thanks for your help.
And I mean, obviously, it was a thrill of my life. And there was another race going on, the Rolex Regatta over in St. Thomas, like a few weeks later. Went over to that one, ended up on another Beneteau. And I was like, yeah, this is it. I want to do it. And there was a guy there who had just done the Arc from the Canaries over to the Caribbean. And I was not aware that there was any kind of sailing that was like a competitive thing or that you could do it across oceans. And so I wondered if it went the other way from the Caribbean back to Europe. And so I went on there, and there's like forums for people looking for crew. And I got linked up with a boat there. And so my first, you know, overnight at sea was my first, you know, day into a 31-day trip across the Atlantic.
Did you have the kit or anything? Did you have any safety equipment? Did you have any clue about that? Or
I had nothing.
Right.
I had nothing. I brought a lot of books. Thankfully, they had some foul weather gear
and champagne flutes.
So I crossed the Atlantic the first time on a Halberg Rossi, 40 foot. We averaged 5.5 knots. And then after we finished across the Atlantic, we then took the boat to Greece. So I did like 5,000 or 8,000 miles with that group. And, you know, meanwhile, across the Atlantic, I was reading like, you know, Dee Kafari's book, Pete Goss, Ella MacArthur.
Wow.
Just thought, you know, wow, like this can be a thing, you know, and it's super adventurous and you get to travel a lot. And those were the things I was interested in.
And how old were you at this point in time?
I think I was 26. This is 2010.
Yeah.
And I came back to the U.S. and I went and did my safety courses down in Florida. I got super lucky with my first job. It was on a 80-foot racing cruising catamaran. And we went down to the Caribbean that season and just did like every regatta down there. So made a bunch of connections, and that boat was going to stay down there. And people said, you know, if you want to keep racing, you need to go to Newport, Rhode Island. And I was like, where?
Yeah.
So I found a boat and did a delivery up to Newport. There was a guy on board who happened to own a Class 40.
Wow.
I ended up being like my job for the summer was to live on a boat that was for sale and just keep it, you know, well maintained. So then that gave me the freedom to race as much as I wanted and to do deliveries as much as I wanted. And so, I mean, I was super fortunate. A lot of it came through like tenacity and, you know, working hard, but I was also really lucky in a lot of ways. So I had like a rule with myself that if there was an opportunity to go sailing, I had to take it, whether it was a Tuesday night, a Sunday, whether I had a barbecue at a friend's house planned and there was sailing that I could do, I went sailing. So those first couple of years, like, you know, I was doing summers in Newport for like 2 or 3 years. And then just taking every opportunity I had, particularly to get on race boats or do deliveries. And then doing deliveries on race boats, eventually that led to opportunities to race on those race boats. And, you know, a lot of the fantastic thing about Newport is like, you go sail on a Wednesday night and there's like 4 Volvo Ocean races between the 5 people in the 20-foot boat or in like 2 America's Cups. I mean, there's so many amazing sailors there that, you know, it's an amazing community. And yeah, in the first 3 years, I did about 40,000 miles. And then that was when SCA became available. And there was a lot of people encouraging me to try out. And I actually didn't think that I was capable yet.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know if you guys have talked about that whole process of making that team on here before.
Well, let's just say that, just put something on the record. So there was the trials and about 450 people applied and they picked 13 people. So it wasn't a walk up, yeah, hey, I do a bit of sailing. There was nothing easy about making that team for SCA. And then they had the full training program based out of the Canaries. So it was a fairly significant undertaking, fully funded program by SCA, who backed it. And yeah, so to get there and beat all those people, it was quite significant. And yeah, there was no walk-ups.
Yeah. And, you know, even if you got an opportunity to go there and try out, I mean, you had to keep yourself there as well. You know, I was lucky that I had some good recommendations of people that I'd been sailing with in Newport, but that doesn't get you on the team. That just got you potentially to Lanzarote to have a chance. And yeah, it was a 1.5-year process. Trial.
Was Richard Mason was the coach, wasn't he? Was Richard Mason was the coach? Big Mason. Richard Mason was the coach, wasn't he?
No, he ran the shore side.
Oh, shore side, yep. Sorry.
Brad Jackson and Yoka were the coaches. Yep. But I was going to say, obviously by this time you've realised that let's call it the more standard pathway is people start sailing when they're super young.
Yeah.
And everyone over in Lanzarote have probably taken that approach. Must have been quite intimidating when you first turned up, or was it just, I'm here, going to have a crack, see how it goes?
It was, you know, the thing that ended up being so intimidating was that they had already had 2 trials before I came. And the way they did the first 2 trials was, you know, they had like 8 girls and they picked 4 from that first group. Then the next time they brought in 10 girls and they picked 1 from that group. And at that point, they decided, you know, that it's hard for us to see everyone properly. So when I went, I was by myself and everyone else was just looking at me. Wow. And then Abby Wheeler came, but she was busy working for the America's Cup. So she only came for like a week. And so I had all these people that had a contract and there was like 5 coaches on the boat. And then everyone was just looking at me all the time. And that part was really hard. Wow. That was really hard.
Yeah. So,
because,
so you overlap with Abby a little bit, obviously. And so that's quite difficult because she's a pain in the ass.
Well, Abby was kind of a shoo-in, you know. Yeah, they had wanted her to come for a while and she was busy. And then she came over and they were like, oh, yeah, you are amazing. You can go ahead and leave now, and we'll bring you back when you're available.
So, I mean, I can understand how intimidating that would have been with everyone watching you, but I think there's got to be another element of what you described before that would be intimidating is that some of the people that you're trying to sail with, you've been reading their books only a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Sam Davies was my workout partner.
Yeah.
I was like, are you kidding me? And later on, you know, Dee Kafari was my roommate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it was unbelievable. It was like, you know, I just felt so lucky to be there, to have that opportunity. And so at that point, when you're like, you know, you have this one shot kind of thing, you just try as hard as you can, you know, and it's not just the dynamic of, are you a good sailor? It's, Are you a good fit for this team and the other people we've already contracted? Are you friendly? Do we want to hang out with you? Do we want to have a beer with you over the next 3 years? Like, are you strong? Are you mentally strong? Are you physically fit?
I think that's an actual really good point. That whole campaign, you could have easily put down a squad of 15 females to be part of that team on paper, but do you get the dynamic right? And so the process, it was a long I remember the actual process itself and having gone out to Lanzarote at various times as well, and seeing how the process worked. And that was the emphasis, to build a rockstar team, not have a team of rock stars, of which all turned out pretty well, very well.
Yeah, I think, especially because they put some of those puzzle pieces together pretty early, everyone else that they brought in later on needed to fit around that. And they needed to have complementary skill sets and personalities to that as well. So I think, in the end, that was one of my greatest assets, is that, I'm 6 foot, I could get quite big physically. I matched up in the strength department, and I also was an Indian, I wasn't a chief. So a lot of the women, had been running their own programs in different parts of the world. And then all of a sudden they're a part of like a big team. And so it was hard to match all those pieces. It's complicated. We know, we watch this every Volvo, right? Like it's hard. Yeah.
I actually wondered when you were talking about this stuff, because, having known you for a while, the fact that you are a 6 foot female, does anybody actually ever say no to you?
In our sport, oftentimes I feel bad for women that are a bit smaller, because it's an automatic cop out to be like, oh, you're not big enough, you're not strong enough. And they couldn't really use that on me.
Yeah.
So I think it was like, if they needed 1.5 of me to replace one guy, that was one thing. But the fact that I was like 1 for 1 kind of size wise, not necessarily strength wise, but, close.
Well, you've been throwing those cattle and horses around for a while. So
That's right.
you're used to handling some wild bucking elements.
Yeah. Yeah. Wrestling pigs is hard work, I'll tell you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think most men are pigs, aren't they? Oh, dear. So then let's actually just talk about the race. How was it? Oh, actually, no, how was it when they actually picked you? Do you remember when they actually said you're in the team?
Yeah. Of course, it came down to the final day. There was 5 of us. So they ended up making a documentary about it.
Yep.
And I don't know why, but they changed how they showed the team coming together. It was actually way more dramatic in real life.
Yep.
So last day, there's 2 spots and there's 5 girls standing there. It was like me, Elodie, Dee Kafari, Annemiek Best, and Seal Leggett. Each of us are very different skill sets, very different people, different cultures. We had no idea at that point if they were just going to fill the 2 spots or if they were going to have reserves, if they were going to take all of us. We just had no idea. And so the way they did it is throughout the morning, we went in one by one, and we weren't allowed to show any expression when we came out, because they didn't want people to know whether or not you'd made the team. And they're filming it.
They're filming it. Only in the film world could they do that.
And, Brad Jackson, subtle as ever, throughout the year and a half, that I was kind of in and out of the program, he would just tell me, like, you're not good enough, but we're bringing you back for the next month. That was the feedback that we got once a month, as we got sat down and told whether or not we were coming back for the next month. So final day, go in, it's my turn. And Brad goes, well, you're still not good enough. We have a lot of potential. So we're going to give you a contract. And I was like completely floored. I was so floored. And it was so emotional. And I remember, like, I left like a sweaty ass print on that chair. And I bolted. I left the trailer. They're trying to film me, and I just bolted for the bathroom and burst into tears, called my boyfriend, called my family, and then had to sit on it for like the next 3 hours until we all sat down as a group. And as happy as I was that I made the team, they announced to us that they were only keeping 3 of us, me, Elodie, and Dee, and that Annemiek and Cecile were going home. And Annemiek had been there for a full year. She didn't do that next Olympic round because she, thought she was doing this. And so it was just such a long, difficult process. And you knew everything that people had sacrificed to be there, and the shit we all went through and the pain that we went through. And I felt really bad for the girls that didn't make it. But I was, over the moon that I was going to have this opportunity. And then I was like, oh shit, I have to do the Volvo Ocean Race now. Yeah. And I was like, careful what you wish for sometimes.
For those who want to see that documentary, it's called No Ordinary Women, I believe. If you want to just search for that, that's the documentary that you're referring to.
And you know how much I'm into reality TV, Jordan, with my Married at First Sight and a few things like that.
I just don't know how
the emotion. It is full on. It's definitely worth a watch. But interesting to hear what is portrayed on the doco is not even close to the emotions that we're seeing there.
Not at all. Not at all. They said it. I mean, it was. I don't know why they did it that way. But yeah, it was a very dramatic day. I mean, it was literally, I'm walking up and I'm like, to this day, my life is going to change dramatically one way or another. And I don't know. I literally had no inclination which way it was going to be. And so it was like, there's not a lot of moments in your life like that where this huge thing that's going to be so impactful to your future of who you are, the trajectory of your life, the decision is made by someone else.
Hey, boss, I've just had an idea for a reality TV show.
Yeah, go on.
In Australia, so we've got this show called, I've never watched it. I don't watch any of that crap, but Married at First Sight, right? So they get these people and they get married at first sight, then they go through some crap and then they end up fighting and you get all this great emotional TV. What about crewing at first sight? So you pick your double-handed teams, just they're put together randomly and then we film and just create a regatta.
Just someone will be murdered.
Yeah.
Different cultures.
Yeah.
Different techniques.
So we just create a regatta. We put the cameras on the boat and it's a $1 billion show.
Right, shut it down. Shh.
Oh.
Don't say anything more. All whilst doing the bar karate pursuit race.
Yeah, there you go. On a X2, is it?
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Good.
Cool. All right, so let's get to the race. Did you suddenly went, oh, holy shit, I've got to go and sail around the world on a 65. And you've been training on the 70, weren't you?
Yeah, we had the old Puma for about almost like 10 months before we got the 65. And then we did 2-boat sailing for about 5 months. So during that process, like we needed more people. So at one point I remember in December, we had 9 women there who were on trial at the same time. And then they picked the final team, I think February of the next year. So yeah, we had the 2-boat program going. So you were just swapping back and forth between the 65 and the 70, which is good, And then once we kind of went up to England for the round Britain and Ireland race, which was in August of that year, we were pretty much on the road from then on out. Because we did that, and then we went down to Alicante, and then we have Lake Zero, and then boom, straight into it. And kind of same thing again, we ended up having 13 women for the program, and 11 were on the boat. So at any point, 2 of us were sitting off. And everything was a secret. We never knew who was going to, be doing what. And so I think it was maybe 2 weeks before the race started, got the email that I was doing the first leg. And, I'd watched videos of the Volvo and watching the starts, just the thousands and thousands of people on the water and on shore, and to have that opportunity to be on that boat and waving goodbye to my family. And like, I just couldn't believe it. And then there was, 27 days ahead of us getting to Cape Town. And it's, I find being in the middle of the ocean very peaceful, like in the middle of the mountain, in the middle of that expedition, because once you're out there, like there's nothing else you can do to prepare, right? Like you're as fit as you're ever going to be. The shit you have on board is what you have on board. Like, love it or not, the people around, like it's there, it's done, and you're in it and you're starting it. So there's something that's very calming about that fact to me.
You've never subbed with me. Take all the peaceful away.
Yeah.
No more peace.
No, we get it. We get it.
Sailing around the world with women was the coolest thing. Honestly. I mean, whatever expectations that people had that things would be more difficult for us because we were women, like emotionally or otherwise, like they don't know what female sailors are like at that level.
Yeah.
They're just athletes, they're competitors, they're navigators. They're just people. There's not a gender thing at that level. And it was just this magnificent journey. And, sure, the Volvo is really hard, but like what an opportunity and what an experience to do that with, like, we had such an amazing sponsor. And the women, like, I just really admired them a lot. And yeah, I mean, sailing from Abu Dhabi to China, where you get to kind of enjoy stuff a bit more because you're not just having your ass handed to you every day. It was like the most beautiful thing ever. It was like camping with a bunch of rad chicks looking at the stars. I mean, they're stinky, but it was awesome. I mean,
there must have been some stories. You guys must have told some stories. That's all I'll say. Nothing to be shared.
It was a very conservative group. There was a few of us that were kind of outliers, yeah. But
what was that? There was a few of us, did you say?
Yeah, me and Soph.
Yeah, I knew that was coming.
Okay. Yeah. Now we got it.
We knew that was coming. Actually, the question is, how long were you guys talking about me or Bicey after the start, like before you sort of...
Okay, first time I ever saw Bicey, he came to Lanzarote. And I don't know if I should say who I said this to, but I was like, that man has on a V-neck t-shirt. And she was like, that man is Australian, therefore he can wear a V-neck t-shirt. I'm from Wyoming. I'm like, what's this V-neck t-shirt on a man thing?
Yeah.
Oh, we've been doing it for years.
Yeah.
You pulled it off.
Well done, Bice. That's probably in your triathlon days, was it?
It was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. No. All right. Okay. Well, then the obvious one is, you go around Cape Horn, you do all those amazing experiences, but then not only do you guys manage to compete in the race, but you win leg 8.
Mm-hmm.
Leg 8. The camp must have just been going nuts that night.
Oh, totally.
The conservative stuff might have disappeared out the window.
And, like Brad and Joka and Axel, our coaches, they had said, they never really were expecting us to win a leg, to be fair. And, they just wanted us to like do a good job and progress women in the sport. And anyway, so they kind of said, if the women ever win a leg, we're going to dress head to toe magenta. Like literally head to toe. And there's Brad Jackson in like a fluorescent pink sweater. And they had some like salmon trousers on. It was pretty amazing. We were over the moon, and it felt very deserved in a way, only because like we tried so damn hard all the time. We really did. And we averaged 1% behind the men, but what is 1% over 7,000 miles? Like, it adds up. But like, where do you find 1% when you're in it? It's hard. And when we finished the race, we were like, okay, we're finally ready. Send us out again.
Yep. That happens in every regatta, doesn't it?
Often the case.
Yeah.
And just going back one step, for those that know Brad Jackson and for those that don't, this is no small feat in him wearing I remember the evening actually quite well when he was strutting down in his little jumper, bright pink, and his salmon trousers. This is probably one of the greatest things known to mankind for the typical Kiwi, Brad Jackson, to be doing that.
I'm trying to visualise him doing it down, a main street in Wyoming somewhere.
He'd get away with that. No problem.
Well, I don't know. Wyoming is very conservative.
So, obviously, there's a whole bunch of traditions and things like that. Was there any sort of moments in that race or any time in your sailing career where you sort of just were blown away at some stage, where some moment took you to another plane, where you're sort of thinking, wow, this is just surreal, did sort of life experiences like that?
Yeah, sailing in the Southern Ocean, the lake from New Zealand over to Brazil.
It's a
the Southern
super windy lake.
It's that mythical place that we all talk about incessantly in sailing, and we all talk about it in the Volvo. It's the thing, and it's the one thing other than a Chinese jibe that we don't actually get to like practice. Yeah. So going down there, we're in it a little bit on leg 1, headed into Cape Town, but to actually like be there surfing with 100 shades of gray around you, doing like 30 knots. And it was just like this moment of just this magical carpet ride. Of course, that night we had our Chinese jibe and it was not that nice, but it was just like, I'm finally here. I'm finally in the thing that I've thought about and worked so hard to be ready for. And yeah. And honestly, just sharing all of that with the women, like just being in a total shitstorm upside down in the dark, and like everyone's just going through the motions of like making it right and being safe and keeping the boat together. And to be fair, a lot of our youth as women, and I'm 36 now, and maybe it was just kind of my time period and before me, but if something was wrong, like you found a guy to help you. We were always like looking for a man to open the jar and help me carry these things or help me get out of this situation. And everything was just us. And there's this whole like kind of female empowerment thing, and it's very powerful. And that was something that I also appreciated being on that team. I mean, the girls I sailed with, like, yeah, they're rock stars. Whether they're women or not, like they're just cool.
Except for Abby. Abby will be killing me next time she sees me. Yeah, can't wait. We'll come back to that because there's an interesting thing with your masters that's going on that will actually tie into that point, which is interesting. But I do want to bring in your other spirit, where you throw all this energy, which is the sort of I don't know whether it's called climbing or adventuring or whatever, where you're actually doing these mountain summits. I watch with interest. You publish some of these things that you're going on, and I'm sitting there just going, Jesus, is this the last time we see her? Or, it is quite crazy. But we love you so much that Bossy and I have talked about this off air, and we've decided that for one of the summits, we will go and climb with you. And we're nominating Kosciuszko. We're willing to climb to Kosciuszko, the top of Kosciuszko in Australia.
One of the 7?
Well, it's one on each continent, isn't it?
That's the one in Australia, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the highest peak in Australasia is Karsten's Pyramid in Indonesia.
Oh, no, forget it. I thought it was just in Australia. You can walk up to Kosciuszko in your shorts and your T-shirt.
Just for the listeners though, Sarah, you've done the Volvotion race, and then you've had this idea to do 7 summits and combine the two.
You'll be the first woman in the world to do this. I think a bloke's done it.
Yeah, and only one guy.
Yeah.
So I would be the first woman to do it and second person in history. You know, if you looked at it from the beginning, you'd be like, that's just a massive undertaking. But I think because I'd pretty much done most of the oceans when I kind of started having the idea, I had climbed one of the summits. Just kind of set off from there, because after finishing the Volvo and, you know, our sponsor, we kind of did some stuff with them, some sailing for about 6 months after. And then they weren't going to move forward with us anymore. They'd, you know, been supporting the program for 5 years, and they were like, we kind of got to get back to our day jobs as much as we love hanging out with you guys. And it was, you know, we formed the Magenta Project, and we started, you know, looking for money for another campaign for the next Volvo. And we had a cutoff date of like January of, I think, the year that next race was starting. So like October of 2016, I went and did just like a trek up to Everest Base Camp, which is like 8 days up and 4 days down. And
it's quicker going downhill. Just slide down there.
Yeah, it's a lot of altitude gain as well. It's like 12,000 feet, I think.
Yeah.
And I just, you know, I was in a place where it was like, if this isn't going to happen for us again, what am I going to do? And I just wanted a challenge as big as the Volvo. So I was like, I'll climb Mount Everest. Logical next step. Duh.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, how do I do this?
I'm almost there.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically. So I was like, okay, how do I make this happen? And I really love these big, massive projects, and I don't care if it takes me 5 years to, you know, get ready for a thing. So I kind of started looking at it, and basically just from a marketing perspective, climbing Mount Everest wasn't enough. Like doing the Volvo and climbing Mount Everest wasn't enough. And I was like, have you done either? Because they're really hard. So that was how it kind of grew into 7 and 7. It was more exciting. Much bigger. I still needed to cross the Pacific, and I ended up, you know, doing that a couple different times. And then, the climbing, you know, I just kind of set out. Another thing is we all kind of know is that in sailing, being a female at the top level, like it's still hard to find opportunities, you know. There's a shitload of really talented guys out there, and a handful of talented women, and there's not a lot of opportunities. And so finding those and making it sustainable can be really disenchanting sometimes. So it was kind of one of those things where it was like, well, I don't think the Volvo is going to happen for me again, because we weren't finding the money. So I was like, what else can I do? And I had some savings. I was going to buy a house.
Come on.
Instead, I went and climbed mountains.
Yeah. As you
Still don't have a house, but I did climb some mountains.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've climbed Kilimanjaro and Aconcagua and Elbrus, which is in Russia. And then the summer before, I attempted Denali, and I turned around halfway through Summit Day. So at about 19,000 feet, which was a good idea to turn around.
I remember watching that one with you. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's still, I wish I could have, done it. Like we all know, it's like.
So talk us through that a little bit. All the training you've done, so close. We were literally watching as this was unfolding. You were so close. Heartbreaking, or just enough? You left enough out there to make you want to go back?
It was, that kind of stuff, like, it's dangerous. It's like, I could have kept going, but I would have put other people in jeopardy, because there's people that just have no qualms about, like, I'm going to go climb a mountain. It's going to take everything I have to get to the top. And then the people around me can make sure I get down safely. Like, there is really that is a thing where, they're like, I'm paying you to be here. It's your job to rescue me.
Wow.
And that puts those people in a lot of danger.
Yeah.
And people are always like, how does it get so messy so quickly at altitude? And it's just because, like, the exposure is so extreme. Like, you can't just, like, be like, oh, I think we'll just camp here for the night. Like, especially when you're in the summit push on these different peaks, like, it's very dangerous. The cold, especially, the cold, the falls, the crevasses. There's a point on Denali when you're headed up for summit day from high camp, and it's this really steep traverse called the Autobahn. I mean, you're kind of going across it. It's called the Autobahn because if you fall, you're going so fast you can't stop yourself.
Wow.
And that's the first thing you cross in the morning, but it's also the last thing you have to cross on your way back. So you better have enough. You better have your shit together to be able to come back across that safely. And I didn't know it at the time, but I had a lung infection. Oh. And so I was just feeling like just absolute garbage. And like, it was kind of, the way I felt was scary, especially up there, because you just don't know what's happening. And it's not a place to be like, oh, this will work itself out. Nah. And I knew if I kept going, maybe I could summit, but I wouldn't be safe on the way back. I wouldn't be safe for myself, and I wouldn't be safe for the people around me. And there's 3 other people attached to you by a rope, So if you fall, you risk taking all of them with you. Like, it's not, it's
heavy.
It's not a place for, like, your ego to take hold.
So obviously the mountaineering side of things, physically you need to be super strong and fit, but mentally it must also be, that's another big element of it, right? Especially at altitude.
It's very, that part parallels totally with the ocean sailing.
Yeah.
And so that wasn't really something I needed to kind of, work on in a way. It was like, that was a really great asset that I was taking over from ocean racing. And, it's when you're out in the middle of the ocean and you have, like, the end of a halyard in your hand and someone is on the other end of it at the top of the rig, like, other people's lives are a part of your responsibility as well. And, like, you being safe and not putting other people in a point of, like, having to rescue you or something like that. Like, there's a lot of shared mentalities between the two places, and the level of, like, seriousness and kind of professionalism that should be applied in both places is very important.
This is very serious. I mean, it's incredible. It is incredible. And I have a solution for you, Sarah. It's an absolute no-brainer. Bicey and I will start a pub each, right? He'll call his the 7 Seas and I'll call mine the 7 Summits, right? And then you can just do both of them and you're done.
I have been waiting for someone to offer that to me for so long.
Well, as a matter of fact, I've just been building one in my backyard now, so...
That's it. I'm going to start building this Arvo now. I'm inspired. We've got the beer. We're ready to go.
But physically, though, to mention that, I, for some dumb reason, was like, oh, I'll train for climbing a mountain and I'll support climbing the mountains through sailing. And so then, like, when I have some sailing coming up, I'll kind of switch physical gears and train for sailing and then go back to training for mountains. What an idiot. One involves the upper half of your body. The other one involves the lower half of your body. And you're just like, why did I think that this was going to be like,
Yeah. I think, the crossover on the mental piece and the way you solve problems and stuff like that, I get it. And I that analogy you drew. So maybe you were just excited about doing both things. That's all you could say.
Yeah, I was. I mean, adventure was like this thing. It's so weird because like this last year has just changed so much for so many of us. And it's like, who am I anymore? Am I still that person? Or am I mean, I don't know, because a lot of those things haven't really been an option for me. So, I like to continuously feel like I'm making progress towards a goal or setting a new challenge. And when COVID just, took our feet out from underneath us last year, it was like, well, what are you going to do now? You're going to sit on your ass for 6 months and watch Netflix?
Yep.
The sailing, a lot of people have been like, oh, I'm just going to sit tight and wait for, things to open up and those sailing opportunities to start coming my way again. And so many people were like, oh yeah, I've got this booked. And then it was just dropping like flies, events weren't happening. And I was back in the US. And so I was kind of like stuck in a way because most of the sailing that was happening was still over in Europe. So, that's why I decided to start working on my brain again.
So did you, the first question there, before we jump onto that, it's a nice segue, but did you pick up the real estate guides? Had you started perusing those yet?
No.
Okay.
No.
Right. So the spirit of adventure is still there then. That's what we can take.
Yeah, I think so. I do feel some nesting though.
Oh.
Yeah. I want a dog so bad.
Right.
I wanted a dog. But like with sailing, I could never have a dog. And now I'm like,
a friend of mine got a dog, a lass based in Canada, and they call it Geordie. So if you get a dog, I'd ask you if you could call it Nikki or BP.
I've actually already named my non-existent dog.
Oh yeah, what's that?
His name is Winston.
Winston.
And his nickname is Winnie the Poodle.
You're getting a poodle.
I'm going to get a poodle mix.
Yep. I see the photo of a poodle mixed dog every night. I think my wife, she's quite keen on the same sort of thing. So,
Have you got your cavadoodle yet?
Yeah.
My sister got one. My sister got a Cavapoo. I actually want the Irish setter standard poodle mix. I want this like 100-pound slobbering, bubbling ball of joy on me every day while I'm doing school. I want that so bad.
If you want a 250-pound version, you're looking at him on the other side of the screen. You've got red hair.
There's places some people won't go. So we should go on, Sarah. Sorry, we spoke over you. I apologize.
It's a big jump to like have something that is essentially like would keep you in one place, or that like
what's
you wouldn't have the same
crazy
amount
concept?
Of total freedom. I mean, I nearly had a heart attack when I bought a couch because I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do with this? Oh, I'm going to sit on it. But then like if I need to go do something right away and change my entire life, and it's just not as easy now because I have a couch.
Yeah.
Well, fair enough.
It's true. It's true.
Fair enough.
So the interesting thing is, we talked about the psychological elements in the aspects that you're going into, and I think when we chatted, I don't know, about a month ago or 2 months ago, we were having a good chat about you've gone on, and you're at Harvard doing a master's in industrial and organisational psychology. which sounds very impressive. And we're talking about the whole aspect of what a business it could lead to, and so you're looking at that whole correlation between the process of what are sporting cultures that are essentially very business-like in operation, and trying to take that, because you've been at the extreme of those sports, trying to help that in the workplace, or give that pathway or help people with that. That's what you're trying to do at the moment. Is that right? Or
yeah, that's a part of what I want to do. The other part, that we talked about earlier is team dynamics. So the psychology of team dynamics. So industrial organizational psychology is essentially the psychology of the workplace, and it looks at the industrial part and the organizational part. And so the organizational part is really interesting, because motivation and performance and all of these things that were such a big part of my sporting career, they parallel with the business world, and team dynamics, like in kind of the experience of SCA was what really kind of turned me on to this. Was it's such a make or break thing. We've all seen that in the Volvo, right? Where you just get a great group together and they work well together, and maybe they've all been a part of different teams at different points that didn't work as well, but like, what is that thing that they have that makes it work well? Or what can you change to make it work better? Or like, what is that one thing that's not allowing it to progress? So the team dynamics is very interesting to me. And I feel like I've been so lucky to have had all the experiences that I've had in my life. And I feel like there's probably some parts of that I can share with people. And then with this, scientific understanding of the other side of these things, I feel like I can share those lessons maybe better. So yeah, it's about taking those 10 years of pro sailing and looking at the scientific side, really just understanding what those things were that, I kind of intrinsically know now.
So from a practical point of view, there's probably never going to be when you fully understand it, but at what part of the process are you now? So you're at school?
Yeah, I'm at school. This is my third semester. It's so exciting, honestly. It's hard. So hard. Yeah. I can't even tell you guys, like, just to go from like an Olympic campaign to sitting in front of a computer all day, every day. Oh my God. I was like a toddler. I was just like climbing over the back of my chair, like anything other than sitting and doing what I was supposed to be doing.
Lucky you got the couch.
Yeah. That transition was really hard, really, really hard. And to kind of, before I had this like luxury of being an athlete where, my brain was engaged in what I was doing and my body was very physically activated every day. And all of a sudden I'm just in my head the whole time with school. And that part was like really, really rough. And I didn't feel like I had the space and time to like keep up an athletic level of training and stuff. And so just at that point I was like, some things have to give. And right now, like you can't be training like that. You just have to, you can't, because the level of expectation in the program that I'm in is just so high, and everything is about basically these classes I'm in are called like gatekeeping classes, because they want to make sure that like no one gets further into the program that doesn't deserve to be there. And you're just like, it's kind of elitist, but okay. Yeah. So it's just really hard. But I'm so interested in what I'm studying, and I'm so interested in being able to like help people and businesses in the future. Like, I can't wait. Yeah. I really am looking forward to when I can finally activate all of this together.
I think there'll be plenty of people who run businesses listening in who'll be very keen to speak to you once you come out of this degree. And because Bicey and I are quite helpful blokes, we've got an idea for your thesis.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's the Aussie management technique for team dynamics, which is don't let anyone get too full of themselves. You just bring them back down a level. That's the Aussie way. Anytime
bring them down a notch.
Just settle down, princess. That's it. Settle down.
I've actually had quite a bit of experience in doing this with my co-hosts in this show, just bringing them down that extra level every now and then.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So if you want any tips, let us know.
Australian humble pie.
Hey, Australians, it's an interesting, we culturally, that's the other thing that you probably can bring to this is that because you've spent so much time travelling the world and competing with people from different countries, the cultural experience of the way people work is completely, as Aussies, we know, there's definitely, when it's not a joke really, when you run a business in Australia, you don't let any sort of people get full of themselves. It's a team thing, right? But different cultures have different working methodologies, and you can bring all that experience into this program. It's not that far-fetched.
Yeah. That is 100% true. And and actually something just from a practicality perspective, adventurous, extreme athletes in the US, that's not something that we really admire.
Yeah.
Other cultures, it's held in a much higher regard. And, places like Sweden, the UK, Australia, New Zealand, France, the way that they look at sailing and the way that they look at mountaineering, the US is sorry, if you're not a baseball player getting paid $2 million, we have no time for you.
Yeah.
So, I feel a lot more affinity, honestly, with European cultures than I often do here anymore. And, that was something that I had to adjust to a lot of the time. With SCA, they told me the second time I went back, this is so embarrassing. This is so embarrassing.
Good.
They were like, you're a lot less American this time. And I literally was like,
bringing in a cup of Joe. Here you go, Brad.
Yeah. They're like, why are you so fucking excited every day? Calm down.
Yep. Yeah, we do look across the water at your country and just wonder sometimes. But anyway.
Yeah. So there is a big element of that. I lived in the UK for 4 years, and then obviously just sailing. Even in the US, when I was sailing with guys, it was pretty much like a bunch of Kiwis and Australians. And then, over in the UK and yeah, I'm not in the US now. This is also going to sound bad. I'm not in the US because I love the US. I'm in the US now because I came back for the Olympic program after France had been shut down with COVID, and I basically got stuck because I couldn't go back to Europe. And so I was like, well, what am I going to do? And one of my best friends was out here in Jackson. And it's have you guys ever been to Chamonix?
Yep.
This is the cowboy version of Chamonix. It's a rad place. It's so cool.
Would Jordan with his rhinestone cowboy hat on fit right in?
It's almost like I write your script in my head, mate. I know what you're about to say. Yeah, the rhinestones, let's bring them out.
The trouble is they couldn't find... Well, no, they've probably got the big 8-galloner that would fit your scone.
Yeah, we definitely have that. Okay, so without exaggeration, this is so crazy. So my boyfriend here is half French. He did 2 America's Cup campaigns. He's been here for 16 years. He's the only person in the world that understands what it's like to be a pro sailor and from Wyoming. It's the most bizarre thing. We were set up on a blind date. And he has 2 horses. And I went over to his house to go riding, and I was wearing my Dewberry offshore boots. And he's like, oh, no.
Uh-oh.
So I'm actually a part of a girl gang now.
A girl gang?
Yeah.
Love
We're
it.
going to ride horses around the neighborhood together.
Oh.
But I've been told in order to officially be a part of the girl gang, I have to go get some real cowgirl boots.
Oh, can we pick them for you? Can we get our listeners to look up cowgirl boots and pick a few styles for you? Maybe we could do that.
I do need help because it's been a long time.
All right. At least if anyone's got some ideas, send them to us. Cheers at Buck Radio, or just publish them on the Facebook page. Sarah needs new cowgirl boots. We might put that up. And actually, just do it. Yeah, do the commentary. Put a comment in the Facebook where we publish this link for this episode. So yeah, maybe we might be able to find an idea for you.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the Dewberries were fine.
Yeah.
I mean, they're a bit warm, but yeah, I mean, practical in a way.
Wow. What a
There
life,
is
eh?
the history of Dewberry and equestrian, but we're talking a whole different game, whole different level here. So proper cowgirl.
Probably don't need the gaiters on there either that I have. Just another level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say though, Sarah, with your experience, if you are based in America, that experience, any American businesses looking to move into offshore markets would be, be able to use the skill set that you've got, so you could actually help them with that dynamic, because it is the critical piece, the ability to communicate and understand how the other side is going to communicate. I mean, Nick and I we've lived that culture for years now, so we know. And you'd be a real value to a lot of businesses based in the US, I would think, who are looking to find.
you guys definitely have. I mean, even just dealing with, the sponsors from different countries and the teams from different countries, and you guys definitely had to deal with that.
Yeah, our technique was beer.
Our best technique is, and essentially how we came up with bar karate, we just wanted more chats in the bar. And it generally leads to something pretty good and pretty cool.
Absolutely.
And that's where all the cultures become leveled.
Yep, in the bar.
Yeah.
A few beers.
Yeah.
That's why we were so dedicated to being upstairs at the Sailors Terrace all that time.
Real commitment, yeah.
Oh, we worked hard. We did a lot of
I pushed that pretty hard the last Volvo. You were like, do you have an office up here? I'm like, oh, no. I don't actually work for anyone. I'm just here to do fun. I'm not even a sailor anymore. I'm literally just here, but my name's on the wall.
Yeah, there you go. That's it. You're allowed in. Absolutely. All right. Any more sailing projects you're going to be doing? Anything on the horizon, or you're all still locked down?
I mean, stuff's pretty much still on lockdown.
Yep.
I did get asked if I was interested in doing the European lap coming up with the Ocean Race.
Yep.
I was like, yeah.
Yeah, do it.
But that's kind of contingent on a potential sponsor partnership with them. And so, yeah, I feel like it's starting to get a bit late. But I would have been up for it.
Yep. So you're not gone from sailing, is basically, you're still there, you're still keen?
I am. It's just a matter of like, what is the right thing to do?
Yep.
It's right now, like this school stuff.
It's domineering, isn't it? It just chooses everything. It
absolutely is. But it's also just like, I really got in at the right time.
Yep.
Sure. None of us knew when COVID was gonna. I remember France, the first lockdown, it was like 2 weeks, and everyone was like, "Holy shit, 2 weeks? Are you kidding me? What am I gonna do in my house for 2 weeks?" And then I was in the house by myself for 7 weeks before I came back to the US, and I was like a pig in shit. I was just like so happy to be sitting on my butt. Oh my goodness. Because at that time it was like, I was training in the gym. I was training on the Figaro 3 every day. We were putting together this Olympic campaign. We were trying to go through the last hurdles of sponsorship. And, so when they said, you need to sit at home, I was like, not a problem.
Aye.
Well, I reckon we had...
The other one is it's pretty hard to travel with your couch.
Yeah, and the dog.
When things open up again. So
that thing's going on Facebook Market next week.
Okay.
Got to lighten my load here.
Oh dear. All right. Cool. I think we might call it there. We've had a lot of fun. Hopefully you've had a lot of fun. But it's been interesting.
We've had a lot of fun.
We certainly have.
We have had a lot of fun. We can't wait to do it together, face to face again.
Oh, imagine!
I think I had dinner with you in France, and then COVID was shut down. Maybe I was the spreader.
It was almost like I think it was like exactly a year ago.
Yeah,
probably that I saw you because it was France shut down March 17th.
Yep. I would have been a week later. Yeah, I reckon. Because it was it was that time. And then, France, bang, down. And everybody else as well, Spain.
Yeah, Italy.
Crazy.
Cool.
Oh, well, we should be able to catch up in about 2024. Shouldn't be an issue.
But we are definitely coming to Jackson Hole, just for the name, and because we had a good conversation off air before we started, and you inspired us to come there. So Bossy and I'll come as a team, as long as you're ready to deal with the consequences of that. We're coming.
We'll deliver the cowboy boots, cowgirl boots.
I think we need to do. So you guys Google the Tetons. Okay.
What?
Tetons.
French for boobies. The famous mountains here. And right at the base of the Tetons is Jackson Lake.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And you guys just have a look.
Yeah.
I've had a couple of sailing friends here, and we need a moth regatta here. Not that I can sail one. I can't, but other people could. I could organize it.
There you go.
There's actually a Jackson Hole ocean racing team.
Oh. Yeah, do yourself a favour. I'm just done the little Google now.
Yeah, it is gorgeous, isn't it?
Yeah, beautiful.
I'm not going to do it.
Don't do it.
Yeah, okay. Oh, well, we can. There's plenty of the moth guys listening, so you could reach out to them now. Just say.
Moth regatta. There it is.
It's gorgeous here.
Just watch you don't get taken out by a moose.
Oh, bison, they're both real worry. I mean, when I go cross-country ski, or actually the trail that I cross-country ski on, put a big sign up the other day, and there was an overly aggressive moose rather than just an aggressive moose. I mean, coming on the trail and terrorizing people, because you're on cross-country skis, you're not like nimble.
Yeah.
And a lot of people take their dogs and it can be a problem. And then sometimes I go by myself and I take my headphones out because I'm like, I would need to hear if something is chasing me down.
Yeah.
And I've got bear spray on my little backpack. Can't go anywhere without the bear spray for about, 9 months a year.
Oh, I'd better not go over then. I'd get bear sprayed, I reckon.
Here he comes again.
Sorry.
Perfect.
Sarah's just going, I've had enough of these two idiots.
No, and I can just envisage you walking into a bar and just getting bear sprayed.
We have a bar here called the Cowboy, of course.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
There's like saddles on the bar stools.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, this is the authentic West here, guys.
Yeah. Hardcore. Yeah. We'll just come in and speak full Aussie. They won't understand a word we're saying. They'll probably.
Oh no. Mm-mm.
They'll get very upset with us, I'd suggest. Anyway, cool. All right. Well, it's been a ton of fun. It genuinely has, and we're with you the whole way. So if we'll try and find you some cowboy boots, cowgirl boots.
Yeah.
And then everything else from there, we'll just keep working with you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sarah?
So accessorize, we'll just do one thing at a time. Like cowgirl boots this time. Next time it could be cowgirl hat with rhinestones, chaps.
Chaps.
Yeah.
We'll be in town when the chaps are being selected.
Yeah. We have some trips planned this summer. We basically you basically go camping in the wilderness with the horses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you need the chaps for the tree branches.
Oh, is that why they wear them? Is that what that's for?
Yeah. Or it's that or like branding. When you have like a day of branding. I mean, there's a lot of wrestling with the cows on the ground and there's a lot of fire flames with the hot brand. You need some protection.
Okay, because there's a major event in Australia called the Sydney Gay and Lesbian Mardi Gras, and it was actually on last night, and there was an awful lot of people wearing chaps, so I'm not sure. It's on TV.
Decorative? Those were decorative.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe they were just protecting their blue jeans.
Maybe. Don't know. All right. Well, what a great way to finish off.
Best I don't comment on that one. There was plenty going on in my head there, Jordan. You were going down, but we'll hold. Sarah, thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
It's so great,
great insight, and wishing you best of luck for everything that's going on. The mind, the couch, the yachting and the summits. Love it.
Ton of fun talking to Sarah Bice. We haven't seen her for a while, so it was good. We actually had a long chat before and a long chat after, and I suspect that she wanted to keep going for a while because she was happy catching up with the boys, but she's an interesting lady.
Well, maybe we should have one with our American guests where we can talk politics.
Jeez.
Because it always comes up. It always comes up.
It is interesting, isn't it? But, I mean, beyond all that, a person certainly setting out to achieve everything in life.
No, absolutely. And definitely got the vision of where she wants to be and how she wants to achieve it, and whether you make your way there via the ocean or via the mountain, she's going to get there for sure.
Yeah. Well, we're following her with interest. We had a good time with her over the last few years, and try and catch up with Sarah as often as we can. So, yeah, good work. Cool. Well, let's move on. This week, it's the week for sailing for everyone. If you're not watching the America's Cup or you're not fired up by the America's Cup, then you're not really into sailing. It starts, obviously it was due to start yesterday. We're recording Sunday morning in Australia time, 7th of March. It was due to start yesterday, but obviously with a bit of a COVID case, a lackadaisical 21-year-old wandering around, going to the gym, not staying in isolation, has shut it down. But we kick off on Wednesday, Wednesday.
Wednesday is the day. And I got to say, the boys are pretty good with the banter thus far.
Go on.
No, with Jimmy and Pete, they've started the banter, and I'm expecting it to ramp up even a little more.
Well, Jimmy and Pete you can rely on, I reckon.
Yeah.
There's two blokes that just don't care, you know. They're happy to throw it out there. They're not as politically correct as everyone else, and they're two good blokes.
Well, and remembering the last cup as well, there's some good banter between the two of them.
Yep.
Oracle and Team New Zealand.
Yep.
And now we've got Jimmy on the waving the Italian flag, or half of the Italian flag, let's say, on one side.
Yep.
And Team New Zealand again. So this is the real America's Cup to me, the banter cup.
I know we're being a little Aussie-centric in just mentioning Jimmy, but has he really established himself as one of the great cup men? He's won it a couple of times?
Won it a couple of times, been in it every cup since 2000.
Yeah.
And led every team since 2000 as well.
Yeah.
So is he one of the greatest America's Cup skippers? I'd say he'd definitely be up there.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. We'll get him on the show. We've talked to him. I think he's a little... We try and not disturb the guys that are right in the midst of it because we like to chew up a lot of time having a lot of laughs, and they're a bit serious at the moment. But we'll get him on the show and have a bit of a laugh later on. But, yeah. Proved to be... It's going great. Like, to get the Luna Rossa team, it's an amazing-looking boat. Our mates at Persico built that one. And, she's... it's going to be... I'm fired up. So I'll just read the schedule. So race 1 starts on Wednesday, 4 p.m. New Zealand time. So Wednesday, 10th of March. And then the racing should continue as been published with 2 races per day. So Wednesday the 10th, Friday the 12th, Saturday the 13th, Sunday the 14th, and Monday the 15th. And each day after that. So the schedule has racing every day until either the defender or the challenger wins, and it's the 1st to 7. So there's plenty of races coming up. It's this week, basically. Everything's happening this week. So just
Stay
take the
tuned.
week off. Take the week off.
Yeah, all right. I'll take the week off. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm actually the opposite. I mean, it works out pretty well in Australia because we get it. The timing works out really well. It's over lunchtime, so you can can squeeze it in pretty well. Who's going to win?
New Zealand.
New Zealand. Anything to watch out for that you've noticed?
Well, they've all nominated all their equipment, so that's been done. I just don't think the Kiwis are going to leave any stone unturned. They've got so many. They've got a lot of time on the water, but also a lot of time on the computers. So I reckon they have refined everything to its nth degree, taking nothing away, of course, from the Italians. They're probably still on a bit of a trajectory, but now that all the equipment's locked, maybe that trajectory is slowing down a little bit.
So a point of interest last night I noticed, and I thought, this could really affect things. A dirty great cyclone, Category 5, as strong as you get, hitting Vanuatu, which if you know the South Pacific, Vanuatu is directly north of Auckland, straight north of Auckland. And it's running down south through the week. And I thought, Wednesday, maybe New Zealand will be covered in cyclone, but she's gone and disappeared by then. So at this stage, it looks like racing will start in a nor'wester on just looking at the windy page, just looking at their wind model, the European model, just showing sort of that sort of 10 to 12 knot nor'wester. So it should be pretty cool. Just nice, good, perfect conditions for racing. So I was a little worried last night with this imminent cyclone. I'm a bit worried about our friends over in Vanuatu. I hope everyone's safe over there because she's a monster. But yeah, all good. So nothing to worry about there.
No.
Nick Bias says New Zealand will win.
And yourself?
I think I have no idea. I really don't. I'm intrigued. I hear all the things you're saying, but the Italians are saying really well. It's just going to be fantastic.
They certainly are, and there's no. Well, given the fact we haven't seen them together, there's no outlier. Put it that way.
Yeah. I wonder if it will, because they'll come out quite close, and it will come down to starts. Because I'm very much in the camp that even if you've got a slow boat, as long as you win the start and you get that first cross and you can lock them up, it's very hard to get past. So I think we all have worked out now that the starts are super critical. If you've got boat speed, just stay clear and smoke away from everyone. But the starts will be critical. I'm very fired up about that whole process. But the boats are quite similar in a lot of ways. Different versions of the same idea, I think, is what I'm trying to say there when I say the boats are quite similar. Cool. All right. Well, the other event, this, as I said, Sunday morning. So we've plugged the JJ Giltons, which is the World Championships for the 18s, which nobody from the rest of the world has turned up for because of COVID. Can't get into the country, but they've had race 1 of the JJs, a 9-race series. Race 1's happened, so we pretty much know the overall winner who it's going to be now because, we're 1 race in. The form guys there.
Well, and straight to the top is, as Woody predicted, Tech 2.
Our old mate Jack McCartney. You love Jack.
McCartney.
Yeah.
So he's taken the first race out.
Charlie White, Lewis Brake as well. Again, it was
fair chance they'll probably win.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. The form guide, race 1, it's not looking super windy for the week. Tech Tech 2 sort of, I think they won the start, sort of went to the wrong side on the first beat and then worked their way through and had a good 30-second win. If you're wanting to follow it, you can just go to the online, just 18 skiff, and they've got live stream.
.com.au and they have everything at that site.
Yeah, and you can watch the live stream. So it's good. It's good. Did you see this note? I'm trying to find it. The Transpac is going to happen in 21.
Good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. So Transpac, obviously, from California to Hawaii. Go on.
Yep, great race. And the fact it's happening and people are getting out on their boats, which, I mean, let's face it, everyone will be super pumped to be doing this. So,
is it the best race in the world?
I've got to tell you, it's not far off.
Yeah.
Having done it in 2007 or something like that, it is really good. You think of the best thing about sailing a big boat, going downwind, going fast, it's warm. I wouldn't say dry, but it's a great slide across to Hawaii.
Yep. Destination, conditions, distance, everything about it. Everything about it is spot on. Like if you're going to do one ocean race in your life, that's probably the one to do, I would suggest.
Yeah, you're pretty much guaranteed the conditions.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's a great way to sail, trade wind sailing.
Yep. Possibly, I think it must be. So anyway, that looks like it's going to go ahead again, which is great. So hopefully everyone gets into that and has a nice, safe race. There is a big regatta going on Sydney Harbour right at the moment, the Sydney Harbour Regatta, which is pretty much every random class in Australia is underway. So the historic 18s are sailing, the Yinglings are out there. There's all the performance keelboat rating classes, Sydney 36. Then they have these things called Super 20s, Super 30s, Super 40s, the J70s, the Adams 10s, the Cavaliers, the J24s, open classes, the TP 52s, and of course the Sydney 38s, who are backing
of which our co-host, is he in the MCs or the Sydneys this weekend?
He's on the MCs. He's doing the MCs because their nationals are a week or two away.
Yeah.
But the Sydney 38 boys came through for Barkarati Sailors Lager.
Correct.
And, of course, by definition, if you want some Sailors Lager, we'll plug the crap out of your event. So it's their state championships. They're putting a big effort in. The Sydney 38 is Australian design class. They're a great boat. They're actually the Sydney boats to sail and stuff. They're a great boat. So good one design fleet and having a ton of fun. And so may the best team win. I think I'm just trying to remember the best boat from the day was Conspiracy. There's a great photo. So there was quite a bit of swell with that cyclone off the coast, a bit of offshore racing. There was quite a bit of swell going on. And there's a fairly good photo of the bowman on Conspiracy just hanging off the lifelines just as he's about to go overboard. So he grabbed on and made it, but they had a 2-2 and a 1, so leading the way again. So that's Pete Byford's boat. And Pete Sorensen, the great Pete Sorensen on Advanced Philosophy, he's second with a 1, 6 and a 3, and then Challenge with Greg Croak. So they got a good fleet there, nearly 10 boats, 10 boats in the fleet. So they're good on them, having fun.
Bravo.
Another fleet that's about to chock-a-block themselves full of Sailors Lager is the New South Wales Taser fleet. They're getting the Sailors Lager on board for their state titles in April, Friday 2nd through 4th in April at Spears Point Amateur Sailing Club. You ever sail out of Spears Point?
That's a negative. I have not.
Lots
but
of
we'll
tide.
be keeping a close eye on that regatta, and of course, drink responsibly, but consumption also.
Yeah. Consumption also. All right. Well, the other highlight through the week, this is a big one.
All right, tell me.
This is a big one. The Pleasant Point Yacht Club.
Oh, here
Pleasant
it is.
Point Yacht Club in New Zealand. They're just in Christchurch, off Beatty Street, so in South New Brighton Domain, off Beatty Street in Christchurch. A little family club down there in a country called New Zealand. They did the first ever Baccarati pursuit race.
And how'd it go down?
They loved it. They said it went perfect. There's plenty of photos. If I can't share their page, I wanted to share their page all week. They've been posting lots of stuff. I can't share for some reason from the Baccarati page onto our page, but I'll try. But anyway, just look up Pleasant Point, which sounds wonderful. And so the pursuit race, if you're into cycling or track cycling, you know the pursuit where one cyclist starts on one side of the track and the other one starts on the other, and you're trying to lap each other, or you've got a certain number of laps to do a certain distance, and you just pursue each other. And that's the whole concept behind the pursuit race. And they've created it. They went live on their Facebook page. And congratulations to Brodie and Brett Hawkes for the win in the final. You can do it with any boat, any class, and you can put it into grades, but basically it's just a speed race. So effectively, you put your start boat, you have one start boat in the middle, one start line dead upwind, and then the other start line dead downwind from that, and then reach across to one mark, reach back and around. It's just create a loop, a circle, and fastest boat wins. So it's just drag racing, basically. It's super easy for the crowd, and you can put it right in front of your club and have lots of drinks and a barbecue, and you could do a bit of commentary. The whole thing was designed for a bit of a laugh.
And designed by your good self, Jordan.
Yeah, well, it was the solution for the import racing for the ocean race with all the Omoka-style boats, trying to get them off a start line and actually have proper racing on the imports. It's a simple solution. But, yeah. You can do it for any class, though. It works really well. So designed by... Go on.
Pleasant Point. Well done for being the world's first of many, I'm imagining.
Indeed. We're all fired up. It's been fun. So that's Baccarati for the week, I think, Bossy. Missing
It is
BP.
for the week. And, our lonesome mate, he's done it again.
He gets quite sad when he can't attend.
There'll be a counselling session later to talk him through it. How great we were, how we just absolutely nailed it. But don't feel insecure. It's fine.
That's right. Yeah.
He will be hating it right now.
Yeah, he will be.
Out on that boat training. Yeah. We all know he's a big fan of the MC38. And so he'll just be hating life. But BP, at least we've still got him here in spirit still got him here in song.
That's it. Yeah, well, let's just use his... for those who don't know, the actual music that we use in the show, written, recorded and put together by Brett Perry. He's a man of many talents. So we'll sign off with a bit of Brett Perry, so at least he is part of the show, the foundational part of the show.
Foundation.
That's it. See you next week, everyone. Enjoy the America's Cup or whatever racing you are doing, and thanks very much for listening to the show. If you do want to rate us, please do. It helps for more people to find us, and beyond that, just be good to each other.
Here.